Okay, I have 1 o'clock, so I say we get going.
Let's do it.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Keys to GovCon Growth webinar. My name is William Randolph. I will be your facilitator and webinar host for today, and I'm looking forward to being with you. So let's get going. Let's start. Just a little bit of background. Who's this guy? Why is it worth your time today, spending about an hour with us to talk about this line of business, this contracting area, and government contracting growth? As you can see, my career had a good start, military time, and then I found government contracting in 1995. And through the next 20, 25 years or so, I had an amazing career inside of government, culminating in senior executive positions in procurement, both in DHS and in some other DoD activities. I retired in 2016, did the consulting thing for a few years, and then I started my own government contracting business in 2019. I am the founder and CEO of Think Acquisition, and today I'm here with you, and I'm excited to have taken this journey to be here with you today. So what we want to talk about today is NAICS 561-612, Security Guard and Patrol Services. It's an amazing business. It's unique, it's targeted, and quite lucrative, okay? If you can crack the code. If you can crack the code, it is quite lucrative. So let's dive in a little bit. Let's talk about lucrative. FY21, Department of Homeland Security spent approximately $3.6 billion in direct contract awards for security guard and patrol services. More than double, when you look at the numbers, more than double any other department during the same period. Talk about lucrative. Okay. Now, please know that this isn't just pie in the sky. These are some numbers we just found somewhere. Okay, here's a direct pull from an active and recently closed. And when I say recently, the last 15 days. Okay, so those ones at the bottom, those are indeed closed, but they closed in the last 15 days. That gives you a sense of the demand and throughput and capacity that's running through DHS. Okay, but those others at the top, they're live, active, ready to go. Solicitations and pre-solicitations. Pre-solicitations meaning they're coming. They haven't even hit the street yet. Okay, so please know that this is a live and well line of business, functional area of government contracting. So let's talk about a few insights. Okay, during my career, both in DHS and in other DoD activities, I'll share a little bit of information from you. This is primarily focused on DHS, and let's just start at the beginning. Did you know that the Department of Homeland Security has a Federal Protective Service Acquisition Division? Okay, they have a group of people that's their day job, is to procure federal procurement, federal acquisition, and protective services. Okay, that's their job in the procurement space. That's what they do on a daily basis. When they procure these services, their title, what they call them, are Protective Security Officer, PSO services. Most of them lion's share tend to be armed. So PSO services, that's their language. And we're going to talk a little bit later about what how important the language is. Are you speaking the same language? Second or third now is the NAICS code. Please know that this NAICS code has a $25.5 million size standard. Now, what does that mean? So for small businesses that are in this space, the small business ceiling, meaning your annual revenues to stay a small business, has to be at or below $25.5 million. That's as size standards go, that's a pretty sizable one. That's a pretty sizable one. So let's talk about some strategy. Most often procured, when these services are procured, these federal protective security officer services, they're procured mostly for locations that are in the same geographical region. Okay, they don't do them building by building or office by office. when they procure these services, they procure for an area, maybe a region, and maybe even a city. They're also procured because they are commercial services. They're procured in the commercial acquisition strategy. The Federal Acquisition Regulation, FAR Part 12, governs these types of activities. Additionally, when they are awarded, when these contracts are awarded, they're awarded a single award, fixed price, indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity, otherwise known as IDIQ type contracts. Large contracts with large ceilings with individual task orders or placed against them, because that's the normal model for the procurement strategy. When these contracts are awarded, they often show up as 5-year term contracts. This is the life of the contract, okay, and include the 6-month additional optional ordering period that happens at the end, the transitional period. We often inside our community, we call them the -8, the FAR 52-217-8, which allows for an additional 6 months. As long as it's evaluated and priced, you get additional 6 months of activity. Know that the required submissions, when it's time to submit an RFP, those RFPs tend to have a technical, price, and past performance component. Past performance is huge in this space. Doesn't necessarily matter where you get it, because it's a commercial service. You could be doing guard services for a commercial entity or subcontracting entity, and those past performance activity will give you the chops, will give you the checks in the block for past performance at the prime level. Please know, if not all of these types of contracts usually hold a pre-proposal conference, meaning that they review those activities, they review the requirements as soon after the solicitation is issued as possible. Now, in every one that you'll read, it says attendance is not mandatory. They can't throw you out, if you will, for not attending. Let me give you our first nugget of the day. It's mandatory, folks. Okay, please attend in whatever capacity you have to deliver. Please attend. Why is that so important? One, it's kind of hard to bid something you haven't seen, especially with a physical layout, corners, walls, hallways, buildings, walkways. You have to see it to be able to effectively price it. But also, there's a review of the evaluation criteria. They dive a little deeper. They give you a little more granularity. They explain the relevance of past performance. And here's a term of art, what relevant past performance is. Past performance is one thing, but relevant is something totally different. And then any guidance or any framework around teaming arrangements, large business, small businesses, joint ventures, they'll give you some additional guidance. So those pre-proposal conferences, while they say they aren't mandatory, you should interact with them as if they are. Okay. Number 8, the Service Contract Act. The Service Contract Act governs this flavor of contracts. Okay, so Department of Labor will have wage determinations in those contracts. Okay, the Wage and Hour Division of Department of Labor sets these wage determinations. And wage determinations, as you all know in this space, define the labor floor. Okay, that's really, really important in a workforce, in an economic environment where we're seeing some inflation in the workforce, okay, in the workplace, in the economy. Please know that the Wage and Hour Division's wage determinations, they establish the floor of prices paid, of labor paid, not the ceiling. Right, and then last but certainly not least, in these IDIQ contracts, please know that each one of them, by the structure of that type of contract, must have a minimum order quantity that is accepted, okay, that is awarded, that is contracted for. It's usually the lower of either $100,000 or the first task order. Okay, the first task order. And when you think about task orders from a standpoint of the size of the task orders when they're doing a first annual purchase of guard services, that could be in the millions of dollars. Okay, so let's keep going. Additional nugget, okay? I had the opportunity just to go around and look at one of the open solicitations for federal security services, okay? And here's a performance work statement. This is the first paragraph out of the RFP or the solicitation. And this is the first paragraph of the RFP, okay? The performance work statement. And when you read just the first paragraph, it gives you some insights into some of the things that, or at least in my opinion, most of the things the federal government will be looking for when they talk about qualified, trained, licensed and armed, certified personnel. Okay, they're telling you the qualifications of what they're looking for right out of the gate. Okay, right out of the gate, they're sharing with you what they're looking for. Next, the uniforms, equipment, material, supervision. They're telling you all of the physical attributes that are necessary for the contract. Okay, we're still in the first paragraph of the performance work statement. Okay, the third thing that it shows, continuous 24-hour a day, 7-day-a-week static post and roving patrol to include emergency response. That's time. It's binding the time and schedule that they're looking to procure these services in. Okay, and then last, it talks about the labor, the supervision, the administration, and the equipment. Okay, so think about that from a context of this is all the back office activity that's necessary to effectively execute a government contract in the security guard and patrol services space. One paragraph lays it all out. Everything else embellishes on this, okay? Now, please know, some of the things that we do is we help companies dissect, decipher, and decode RFPs, solicitations, performance work statements. That's stuff we do. We'll talk about that a little bit later, okay? But please know that if that's something, if there's a value proposition that you're looking for there, that may help you in your activity, then we can talk about that. But please know, folks, notwithstanding Homeland Security, look at all the other organizations that are in the need for and purchase, have purchased. So this is going backwards. This is have purchased guard services. So DHS is not the only place, it's just the largest place. Okay, so in my experiences, GovCon businesses in this space and in many others, and their business development activities tend to show up in one of four areas. I want to share those with you. The first is the business and the business development activities tend to show up from a solid organizational experience space, that a given individual or group of individuals know an organization, know the department, know the agency, and as a result of that, they build a business around that solid organizational knowledge and experience. The second is line of business or subject matter expertise, maybe former military, maybe law enforcement, maybe other types of guard and security services. They have solid line of business and subject matter expertise, and then they take that expertise and they build a business around them. The third is solid relationships. Somebody knows somebody. Maybe somebody knows somebody that has organizational experience, or knows somebody that has subject matter expertise, or they just cultivated relationships over time and think that guard services and patrol services are a dynamic business. So they have solid relationships. And then there's the fourth. The fourth, okay, not the most well-known, not the most preferred, but sometimes they don't have any of the other three, and they just bowl their blood, sweat, and tears. They just work their way through, and they plow their way through into the business. So I ask you, think about this. What was your business development strategy? How did you come into the marketplace? How did you build a business? How did you, what pieces of the four did you have? Maybe you had all three, maybe the first three, but which ones did you have? I can talk a little bit about my experiences, okay? When I came into the federal government marketplace as a retiree now after being a consultant and starting my own government contracting business. Okay, I had very good knowledge of the department. I understood how water flowed on that side of the house. I had good knowledge on how that happened. Okay. Also, when I started my business, I started in the lane where I had learned and gained my expertise, where my education and training was from a professional perspective. Okay, my contracts, acquisition, program management. Okay, so I leveraged my skills to start my business. And then the third area was in the 9 years that I worked inside of DHS, and then my other relationships prior to my time at DHS. I had amazing relationships, and that's where I went. I started with those relationships. That knowledge of people and positions and relationships. That's how I built my business. But please know, folks, that knowledge, that expertise, and those relationships did not inform me how to build my GovCon business persona, how to be attractive in the marketplace, how to be found in the marketplace when the government is looking, when the government is doing market research and they're looking for targets. Okay, my experiences and my relationships and my knowledge of the department didn't inform me on how to be found and be attractive. There's something else it didn't do. It didn't inform me of the various solicitation and contracts language that was used inside of all of DHS. Now, I came from DHS. I worked on the chief procurement officer's staff. Okay, I had expert knowledge of a couple of components, but please know that DHS, when it was built, it was comprised of integrating all or part of 22 different federal departments, okay, and agencies. So there were 22 different languages and dialects. People brought their language with them. And as a result of that, even today, there's different language for the same things. And the third thing that those experiences and relationships didn't do is it did not inform me of the importance of understanding the historical buying trends, the culture, the buying culture, if you will. We call it the buying DNA, okay? Every contracting officer, every contracting specialist, every contracting shop has their preferred way of buying their goods and services, the way they solicit proposals, the way they publicize proposals, their preferred contract vehicles, okay? Their inclination to use small businesses over large, how they go into the market research phase and how they go and seek information. Every buying activity has a way. They have a buying culture. And my relationships and my skill set knowledge didn't inform me of those. But please know that didn't stop the train. That didn't stop the train. So on April 3rd, 2019, my very first government contract, it happened to be a $4,800 purchase card activity, but that was my very first government contract. And from that day forward, I've been in the marketplace trying to figure it out, just like you, trying to figure it out. And so far, when I look at our business, we've done solid prime contracting, done really good in the subcontracts arena. Okay, and then our government purchase card activity, when you think about our purchase card, the purchase card only buys in less than $10,000 increments. Okay, this is how we go to the marketplace, and this is how we deliver value. So we've found some very unique ways to interact, find our customers, and interact and serve them. But folks, please know, trial and error is expensive. It's expensive in time and money and effort. It's expensive. But I'll tell you that data, in my opinion, data informed by a solid plan and strategy is the great equalizer. And that's what we're talking about today. Okay. In order to be effective, okay, and circumvent the trial and error model, you must have a data-informed, targeted strategy. Okay. For effective GovCon business development, that's critical. A data-informed and targeted strategy. Okay. We often talk about in our business the shotgun approach. You just grab a shotgun and you just start shooting at things and hope you hit something. I posed run down, grab a rifle and have targeted opportunities and take that rifle shot approach to targeted opportunities. We've got some strategies, tactics, and tools to help you with that. Okay. I'd like to introduce you to my strategic partner, Zach Larson. He is the co-founder of the Small Business Development Group. Talk about targeted approach using data. Okay, he's the man. He's the man. So, Zach, take it away.
Thank you, William. So again, Zach Larson, Small Business Development Group. Our focus is to take a data-driven approach to help small businesses isolate, target, and then take action without having to go through a lot of the same challenges and trials and false starts that seem to be the story of so many small businesses out there of taking the winding roads and never even sure if you're going in the right direction. And so what I wanted to do was I want to take a brief moment and show you two ways to look at the same data set. And the first way is something we can all do, right? So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to go out to a public facing website, USA Spending. So let me go ahead and pull that up. And some of you may be familiar with this website. It's a public site. It's a .gov website. And on this website, you have the ability to pull award data that you can then model and evaluate. And before we go there, I want to explain the reason we look back. Some people say, well, why are you looking back? I want to look forward. I want to go after contracts in the future. Well, when you're looking forward, when you're forward facing, you only see the stories that the folks that are posting the solicitations want to tell you. So sometimes contracts are awarded and there are no solicitations posted. There is no story to follow. Sometimes a story isn't exactly the truth. Sometimes it's a mirage, or sometimes timing is an issue. And so you're not seeing the story in real time or at the right time. And so the alternative is to look at spending history and data history because it's an accounting record. And while government buyers can make the choice in certain instances about what they show and don't show to the public, you don't have the choice when it comes to accounting for how the money was spent. And so you have a much clearer view of spending trends and, more importantly, customers defined as the specific offices or commands within the agencies that are buying certain products and services. Now, personnel may change, regimes may change, but the offices and the commands and what they buy in terms of the commodities or services really doesn't change all that often. So the better you understand who your target customers are, the better you can build a comprehensive strategy to pursue work with those targeted customers. So one of the resources that everybody has available to them is USA Spending. So I'm going to click Advanced Search. And for the purposes of saving time and also knowing that we can't always depend on these websites to give you the appropriate information in the time that you're looking for, I've already downloaded the data set, but I want to show you the filters that I applied. So I chose fiscal year 21 and 22. FY stands for fiscal year. The government's fiscal year starts on October 1st of the prior calendar year and runs through September 30th. So this data set is going to be October 1st, 2020 up through yesterday's contracts. For the agency, I'm going to go ahead and search Homeland Security. And then for the recipient type, I'm going to choose small business because it just helps us further isolate down to the types of contracts that I believe most of the attendees on this webinar are probably interested in pursuing. And we're going to use the security guards and patrol services NAICS code. So in running that data set, you see here that we have 680 contracts and we have a total value of, in fiscal year 21, 679 million, 525 million so far in 22. So between the two, over $1 billion. This is that data set. You can see I just ran this prior to or today's date. I don't really know what time zone this is out of, but I'm going to go ahead and open up this spreadsheet. And this is the raw data that, again, everybody has access to. So you can take this information and extract from this information some really, really valuable insights if you know how to model and manipulate the data, which is something I've been doing for over a decade. So I'm just going to go ahead and clean up one column, and I'll explain what I'm doing here. These are modifications, and modifications are line items in the government contracting data that, while they are not actual new business or new contracts, they are listed as line items that can sort of muddy up the water in terms of the dollar. Sometimes it'll have a dollar amount, but it's not really a new contract. It's an administrative change. There's a new person on the contract. So it wasn't an actual financial transaction. And so to leave that data in there is going to give you a lot of false positives. So now that I've taken those out, I want you to just kind of take in what you have here in front of you, both from a density standpoint and sort of the different categories that you have. So we're down to about 241 original transactions, but look at all of the different columns that we have in terms of the data that's available to us. This can be a little intimidating, especially when you start to look at some of these titles of these columns and you're not really sure what it even means because there's a lot of government terminology in here. So what I want to do very quickly before I show you what a finished product looks like with our manipulation of the data, I want to just show you a couple of key factors that I think you'll find interesting. So the first thing we're going to look at is, let's just get a handle on the new awards and the count. Remember, these are all small business awards. So we're looking at a total new contract data set of about 240 contracts for $329 million. I just want to look at two factors. The first factor is how many of these contracts, these 240, were posted publicly. So for those of you that have been doing government contracting a while, you may remember before they were posting at sam.gov, the solicitations were posted at a site called FedBizOps. You see the FedBizOps code here. They haven't updated it in the data set for USA spending yet. But we're going to go ahead and look in here, and we're going to see that there were 9 blank, 7 not applicable, 13 that were not posted publicly, and 211 that were posted publicly. So my first question is, look at these ones that weren't posted publicly, these no's that were small business contracts. Look at the dollar amount that represents. That's almost $1 million a transaction. How did contracts that went to small businesses for security guard services valued at close to $1 million a contract not get posted for bid at sam.gov, what used to be called FedBizOps? How are these not applicable? How are these that were blank didn't get coded at all? So that's one of the first indicators of you don't see everything in the public market if all you're using is sam.gov or let's say GSA eBuy as an example. But here's the thing that's a real eye opener in most cases. And it's how many times the federal government only received one offer prior to awarding the contract. And this is just on this particular data set. It's not showing the single offers down here. Do you see this category that says blank? 298 million where they didn't code the number? I can promise you a lot of these were also single offer awards where the contracting officer or buyer, and I want to clarify the difference between single offer and sole source. Sole source is a designation where they're going to sole source the contract to a specific type of small business based on a set aside or socioeconomic criteria. Single offer simply means there's a good chance that because it either wasn't publicized or wasn't announced in a place where you're looking for it, you didn't see it, you didn't know to bid on it. So the difference between being competitive in the federal space versus being on the outside looking in is having access and knowledge to this level of data. Now, the challenge is, how do you take this data set and have it tell you anything that is easy to interpret, understand, and take action on? So I said that there's two ways to look at the data. So one is this raw data set with some pivot tables. An alternative is to take the data and clean it up in such a way that you're able to manage the information and take action on it from a practical perspective, as opposed to having to be a data analyst. So this is an example of a data set we put together for Think Acquisition and William. And this is his data set for leadership coaching and training. And so one of the things that you're able to do once we massage the data and we position it in this sort of a framework, is you can very quickly isolate down on what we call the low-hanging fruit opportunities. And this is true in security guard services. It's true in leadership development and coaching. It's true in just about every industry vertical. There are contracts that have maximum exposure and there are contracts that have minimum exposure. And so in this case, one of the ways that you would find the minimum exposure contracts is to say, show me the single, and before I choose the filter, if you see up here, this is the starting data set for a 2-year period. So as I apply these filters, watch what happens to the data up here. So I'm going to choose a single offer contract. I'm going to choose simplified acquisitions, which we can explain further what that means, but essentially understand that these are purchase orders, easier acquisitions to be able to secure, perform, and get paid on. Show me the stuff that was not in sam.gov and show me purchase orders. And through applying those 4 filters, you can see that we've drilled this data set down to a targeted group of $25 million. And within that $25 million, we've targeted the offices that have a proclivity for awarding contracts in that manner, so that William or you or any customer, anybody that has this tool, can start isolating, identifying where not only the dollars are, but the reachable dollars are. And then one of the other elements that we've added to this is an outreach platform that allows you to choose the office that you want to target, choose the contracts within that office that you want to reference, and create a business development email template that you're able to send out to begin your grassroots business development dialogue and engagement. So that's the 2 different ways, 2 different models of the same data set that you can basically choose path A, which is mine the data, learn the data, and try to figure out how to turn it into information, or path B, the path that we've tried to create for you so that you can just focus on, using William's term, weaponizing the data. So with that, I'll turn it back over to William.
That was amazing, Zach. As always, every time I see the data, it gives me another opportunity to engage and see. It's like, wow, what have I been doing for the last 3 years? What have I been doing for the last 3 years? So
we're here now, so
that's right. Don't cry over spilled milk. So folks, you saw it here first, okay? From a standpoint of DHS 561-612, here's what your data, the snapshot level, when we go in and look at your data, you saw mine, you saw my 2 categories, training and development and the acquisition and consulting and management consulting. Those were mine. But here's what the top line level looks like for your line of business, okay? From October of 2020 to March of 2022, okay? Look at the numbers, 400, follow with me left to right, 472 of those with the number of contracts awarded, okay? Discrete number of contracts awarded, okay? Of those, that second bullet, that second bubble is the number of the number awarded to small businesses, almost 43%. This is what the data says, okay? This isn't a story, this isn't a fairy tale, this is what the data says. That's why we look backwards to examine and project forward. 43% were awarded to small businesses. Here's another one, okay, that bullet 3. Of the ones, so of the 57 that was awarded to large businesses, 49% of those, almost half of those, had subcontracting opportunities. So the largest had responsibilities, had goals to do subcontracting. Imagine if you could know where those are and identify those as they are won and come onto the marketplace. Look at that 4th one. The number of contracts not advertised publicly, okay, 10%. Okay, 1 in 10 don't make it to sam.gov. So if your business development activities are rooted in waiting for things to show up on sam.gov, 1 in 10 don't even get the opportunity to shoot on them. Okay, that 5th one, the average small business order, okay, when they go to small businesses, it's just the math. It's just the crunching of the math. The average order size is it's a seven-figure order size, $1.2 million per order value. Okay? You can build a business off for a couple of those. Okay. And then last but certainly not least, this is the one that always brings it home for me, the value of the data. The number of contracts that only received one offer, okay, 9%. So 43 of this universe set, of this data set, 43 of them only received one offer. Okay, those are nice. That's a nice competitive environment. Okay, imagine if you could identify the areas, identify the organizations, identify the buyers that have a proclivity that if they get one award, let's go. That the veil of competition is still intact. Let's go. Okay. So here's the takeaway, folks. With the right information and the right strategy, you absolutely can find your model and ideal federal customers. Okay. Now we see that as a term of art. Your model federal customers. Now, what do we mean by that? Okay. In that whole body of work, of requirements, of mission need, there's a unique government customer somewhere that has a unique mission need, okay, of that agency that you can uniquely deliver. And the question is simply, are you ready to do the activities to find them? They're there, but you have to do the activities to find them. Yes, as Zach so eloquently showed you, the raw data is out there. Okay, but I'll tell you, I've played in this, I've lived in the space and worked in the space for almost 30 years. Okay, and that data just makes my eyes glaze right over. Okay, and those large spreadsheets, okay, multiple, just gobs and gobs and gobs of data. So the question is, can you and your team, can you analyze it? It's there already, but do you have the capacity to analyze it? And then more importantly, do you have the ability to weaponize it? Do you take that data and be able to target to support your government contracting opportunities in your business development activities? We've done it, and we can help. We can help you do it. We can help you do it. Now, let's be clear on in my opinion, there's a journey that data alone is left wanting. Okay, it's an unorganized set of information. The information, however, is unlearned knowledge. It keeps going. It's a journey. Knowledge is wisdom without time. And now the wisdom, once you have the wisdom empowers one to convert the data into strategy. We're using a decade of time and energy and expertise. What we're leveraging it. That's what it's all about. We're leveraging a full decade of time, energy, talent, drive, and desire that have turned data into strategy. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. Therefore, the code has been cracked. The code has been cracked. It has been for me. I'm a convert. And that's why I'm here. I'm trying to tell everybody I can. The code has been cracked. But please know, one of the analogies I often use is I look at the government contracting marketplace like a pizza. Okay, and all of your competitors before you arrived and while you're here, they've touched every slice. They've claimed the slices. So now there's a question that needs to be asked. There's a decision to be made. Are you just going to stick around and wait to eat the cheese sticking to the bottom of the box, leftovers? Are you going to eat the leftover crust, wait around a little bit longer, let everybody eat, and just hope there's some bread crust left? Or are you going to do the work and do the business to target a bigger slice. Target. We use this word intentionally because this is what it's all about, taking the data to build a strategy to target those that buy the way you sell. And buy the way you sell. Okay. In my experience, I've come to a conclusion that is a 4-part strategy. It's an equation. Government contracting success is an equation. It absolutely starts with capability. Okay, but you've got to add some information to it. Now, you can do it by trial and error, and it take you a long time. But you got to add some information. Information is in the stew. Relationships are in the stew. You got to have some relationships. Are you building relationships in places that actually buy the way you sell? Okay, and then you got to have a strategy. All that culminates in a strategy. You got to take the shotgun, put the shotgun down, go get a rifle and grab some targets. Go look at some targets. That's the results, in my opinion, to GovCon success. There's another analogy that I use. Okay, I don't know if any of you are fans of the superhero genre. Okay, but Iron Man was heroes. It's like it's a thing after the human. Okay, the human is okay. The person inside the suit, extremely talented, has capability, but he can't do all the things that Iron Man does without having the suit, folks. It's the suit. It's the suit. Yes, we need strong, capable businesses, but be wrapped with knowledge and strategy. So I've got some questions for you. I these and see if any of these resonate with you. Open-ended questions, but this is closed-ended questions, but this is a closed-ended question time. Okay? Can your team efficiently identify your model customers? Does your team know the buying culture of your target organization? Do you believe your team sees, even just sees, all the opportunities in your space? Are your team's business development activities matching your capabilities success? You may be crushing it on the execution side, but are the business development activities supporting and matching those operational capabilities? Has your team locked in and built upon your current growth, wherever you've gotten today? Okay, through blood, sweat, tears, trial, and error. Do you want to lose that? No one wants to go backwards. No one wants to go backwards. Is your team maximizing the use of its valued time and resources? Are they shooting on the right targets? The question, can your team identify current activity and resource waste? Okay. Where are the efforts not returning an ROI? Okay. Do they know? Do they know? Does your team know exactly where they should be focusing the corporate BD attention and activity? Precisely, do we know? And can your team today target spend, trends, and customers, and not just SAM.gov contracting opportunities? Because remember, SAM.gov contracting opportunities are just expectations. They're promises. We hope that they stay the same. But when you look backwards, that's fact. That's etched in stone. And we can absolutely look backwards and predict the future. And can your team unlock this value on its own? That's a really big question. It's like, oh, yep, it's there. We know, but can we do it on our own? And folks, I got a bonus question for you. Got a bonus question. Even if you can do it on your own, I pose the question, should you? Should you be not taking your business talents, your operational talents, your capability talents, and focusing it on customers? Leave the research to those that have spent a decade delivering value, massaging, molding, and turning it and weaponizing the data that's available to us. So folks, if the answer to any of those questions is not yes, then we want to share with you what's next, what's in the art of the possible. Well, Zach, I'm gonna let you have it from here, my friend.
All right, I will take it home. So we are going to delve out of the presentation and we are going to show you what you can expect now as a member of this webinar, attending this webinar, and then the stepping stones. So let me make sure I am sharing my screen. There we go. Okay, so just for attending this webinar, we're going to be at the conclusion of the webinar, sending out an email to everybody. First of all, thank you for taking the time to attend. And we are going to send you this link to this portal. This is a client portal that we've built. It's got the same snapshot information that William was just referencing, but it's more than just the spending data. It's also the total sort of market overview and also the strategy, the high level strategy that you can incorporate. So understand step by step what to do from our perspective to get closer to being competitive and ultimately winning contracts. There's also a number of DHS resources. As we know, DHS is the focus and the target. There are a lot of free resources out there, and sometimes they can be a little bit challenging to find. So we've consolidated most of what we think are the most valuable resources for DHS. Some examples would include the DHS Small Business Specialist link. So if you just click this box, it's going to bring you right to the Small Business Specialist points of contact for any of the factions within DHS. All the boxes act the same way. You can click on any of them, and this is a calendar of events coming up with DHS. So we're just trying to make it convenient for you that if they are your number one target and that's who you want to go after, and you have the team and the skill and the ability, and you just need that little bit extra, that little bit of focus, this is free. We're not charging for this. We're going to send it to you right after the webinar, and it's yours to hopefully help you accelerate your already defined path with DHS. For those of you that feel like you need a little bit more support, the calendar in the middle of this webinar, or I'm sorry, middle of this portal page is the post-webinar appointment page for one-on-one appointments with our team. So if you come in here, this is a live calendar. You choose the day and time that you want to meet. We will then, at our own cost and expense, build for you a custom client portal. So this means we're going to brand it if you happen to have a logo and a color scheme and a website and all that. We're going to brand this client portal for you prior to your one-on-one meeting. We're going to ask you some questions about your business and what you're trying to accomplish. And then we're going to build a snapshot report specifically for your company. And this is a little bit more in depth. So we're going to focus on all of your NAICS codes that you're prioritizing, not just security guard services. Some people might offer other services, facility support, things like that, logistics, place of performance where you work. And we're going to give you a snapshot that's more germane to you, specifically to your business. But we're also going to give you this guide that we feel is a great level setting document to answer questions about what some of this terminology is, what it means, why it's the way it is, how you move forward, and some insider insight from our team, from William, from myself. So again, this is complimentary. You're also going to get the raw data set that we use to create this report. So if you want to go model the data yourself, you can just click here. It's going to bring you right to the data set in USA spending, and it's already going to be filtered based on the information that we provided. We're going to review your SAM record with you. So prior to getting on the call, we're going to pull your SAM record and we're going to point out areas of opportunity that may be important for you to increase your visibility in the federal space. We're also going to look at your SBA record. We're going to review areas of your SBA record that you may want to consider enhancing or improving to, again, raise your visibility, raise your stature from a market research standpoint. Again, we're going to do this at no cost. We're going to mock up a capability statement for you so that you know what a professionally designed capability statement, what the standard bearer is in the marketplace, so you can compare and contrast that versus whatever you're using for a capability statement currently. And if it meets a similar criteria and you feel good about it, great. But we at least want to give you what we feel the standard is. And then we're also going to give you a preview of what a market snapshot or a market analysis report would look like for you. So you can download that, review the categories, and a market accelerator plan. So a GSA marketing plan, not just for GSA schedules. GSA is an agency, so this is a general market plan with some of our feedback about maybe just changing the order of some of what you do. But we feel like, for those that need a little bit more help, the one-on-one consulting with our team, plus having a custom portal like this, we think will help. And as a bonus, we've thrown in small business resources for every other federal agency of note. So you can click in here, and you already have the Homeland from the previous, but let's say you're interested in Department of Energy. You can just click on the box, and we've got their small business page, doing business with, contract forecast, points of contact. Again, no cost. So finally, there's going to be the folks that say, listen, we need help moving the needle. We need help, full service support. We want to work with William. You want to work with myself, our team. If that's the case, we're going to provide for you the following. I'm gonna lay out for you what we think the security guard package needs to be in order for us to be able to help you accelerate with DHS specifically for security guard service contracts specifically. So on top of the other elements that we've already talked about, we are going to provide a DHS security, labor categories, and pricing matrix. So there are 240 security related positions that have negotiated rates from 27 federal contractors that have won security guard contracts with DHS within the last 2 years. We have a pricing matrix where we're showing you the low end, the high end, and the median for the labor rates and the pricing so that you can price with confidence. One of the biggest things that people have a challenge with when they come to us is, how do I price to win? How do I make sure I'm not losing my shirt when I'm trying to price on this proposal? So this will give you a baseline of what competitive rates are from companies that are actually winning contracts with DHS. You're also going to get a list of the 141 contracting officers with DHS that have signed over 5,000 contracts for over $4 billion for NAICS code 561612 since the beginning of fiscal year 21. That's name, phone number, email address, and we're going to break down and show you who's most small business friendly, who are the ones that have the single offer contract awards, who are the ones that are awarding contracts that aren't getting posted publicly. We're going to break that out for you as well. We're going to give you a behavioral assessment coaching. It's called DISC coaching assessment. This is a behavioral assessment tool that helps you understand your leadership style, your strengths, how you engage effectively with other people. It's a very, very powerful precursor to a grassroots business development strategy where you understand how you can best position yourself based on your strengths and limitations to have effective communication with other folks in the federal market. So it's a great primer for setting that up. We're going to provide the 92 prime contractors that currently have those indefinite delivery contracts throughout the nation that William was talking about. So if you work in a certain area or you work in a certain state or a certain region, you're going to want to know who has the teaming and the subcontracting opportunities that you can participate at that level. We're going to provide all their contact information. We'll provide a 23-page federal buyer engagement strategy that helps you understand the difference between a small business specialist persona, a contracting officer persona, a program manager persona, how to engage them effectively based on what their motivations are and what they're trying to accomplish. You're going to get a 1-hour consultation with myself, reviewing your data, reviewing how to weaponize your data, reviewing how to bring all of these pieces together from an engagement and grassroots business development standpoint, including custom email template, including coaching about how to communicate effectively, how to get past gatekeepers, how to answer the question when they tell you everything's posted at sam.gov. And finally, 2 hours with William. And that's where you're going to be able to pick the brain of the insider with Department of Homeland Security and figure out all the tricks, tips, and nuances that might give you that slight edge and that slight advantage in building those relationships. So, for anybody that's interested, all you need to do is schedule your one-on-one appointment on the link that we're about to send you for the DHS resources. And at minimum, we just want everyone, wherever they're at, whether you just need a little bit of help or you need the full boat, we want to provide support that helps you move the needle and increase your odds for success in the federal market. So with that, William, I think we're good. Do you have any closing thoughts?
Just want to say thank you for the time. Thank you for your investment in time to come here and be with us. We believe we have something very unique. It changed my business forever, and that's why I'm now saying everybody that I can hear my voice, I'm screaming it from the rafters. And this is an opportunity to revector your activities, to move to the right places, to move from the wrong places, and align to your buyer DNA. So the combo platter of us having the inside think acquisition, having the inside knowledge, and small business development group having the talent and the capability to take data and make a strategy out of it. That combo platter is amazing. So if you believe, which I think you should, by at this point believe that we can deliver value for you, go get that one-on-one call. I think it'll be a game changer in your business. So that's it for me, Zach. Thank you.
I do have one last point. Pricing. The pricing on this, we only want to discuss it in the one-on-one meetings. 2 reasons why. Number one, we're going to be offering special discounted pricing. These packages, they can range anywhere from, depending on what the services you're getting, $12,000 to $20,000. That's not our intent with the people on this webinar. It's to put you in the best position, both financially and from a support standpoint. So we want to make a special offer on these solutions, but we want to do it in the one-on-one session. I don't want to have that pricing out in the public domain, number one. Number two, we want to see the demonstration of engagement and commitment so that we can have that discussion with you and determine fit and value. At the end of the day, fit and value is the key, and we want long-term relationships with the right clients. And so we think this is the best way to determine that and to get to that point. So my last words are thank you very much for attending the webinar. We look forward to working with you, and we look forward to supporting your efforts in the federal market. Thanks, guys.
All right, be well. Bye-bye.